All right, guys, we're live. So we want to welcome you guys to the Mad Maker Show. Thanks for dropping by. My name is Eloy, and I'm the host. The co-host is Jamie Page.
How you doing, everybody? As Eloy said, I am Jamie Page. I am 1/5 of the Megs International podcast. You can find me at YouTube at JP Woodwork. You can find my website at jp-woodwork.com. Back to you, Eloy.
Why, thank you, Jamie Page. Before we get started and introducing our guest today, I do want to give a shout out to Shogun Jimmy. Years back, or a couple of years now.
Yeah, a couple of years, I'd say.
Yeah. So I ran into Shogun Jimmy's channel, and we got to talking, and just right off the bat, he said, "Hey, man, let's do a challenge." We got into like a skull challenge and skulls. He did a skull table. I did a skull chair, skull candle, skull everything. Right? We did it up. And this week I got a gift in the mail from Shogun Jimmy, which is a skull box, which is trippy. Evil
Very
as can
nice.
be. It's got magnets. So, thank you, Jimmy. I hope he's out there. Is he?
Is he out there? I don't know. Let's go and have a look. No. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't love you.
He also sent me this pen. Very groovy.
That's nice.
And today I'm sporting a Doc Jared Hildebrandt shirt with Murdoch. And he's got these for sale. Really freaking groovy. So those are the shout outs. Actually, I got one more shout out. Thank you to a viewer out there.
Very cool.
For my beard. All right. So, guys, I want to introduce Dan the Maker Man. I'm very excited to interview and see what he's got to say. A lot of you guys know him already. Oh, and by the way, just to mention one thing, for those of you that are joining in for the first time, haven't seen this, you know the spiel, but I'll mention it. The Mad Maker Show. What we want to do is, the people that create, and you might be a maker. I know most folks out there are in the chat. You might be a person that creates things. Just the whole gambit. It could be woodworking to metalworking, art, drawing, whatever, electronics, CNC, all of that. And they're not quite, in my experience, all there. They're kind of off. Not in a bad way. Not like an axe murderer type way. More like just, missing a few. So the Mad Maker Show, that's what we want to do. That's what we hope for, to interview these people that have incredible laser focus with their projects and explore, what they are all about, and have you guys know a little bit more about them in a laid back fashion, right? Because who wants total seriousness, right? So anyways, Dan, thank you for being patient. Welcome to the show, dude.
Before we actually get started, have we actually got
gee.
any proof that this is actually Dan the Maker Man? Because I've never seen him.
You can answer that, Dan.
Wait, here you go, Damien.
Oh yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's him.
How's it going, Dan?
Good, man. Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be deemed worthy to be on the Mad Maker Show.
Oh, dude, the honor's ours.
It's really cool, man, to see to keep these going. Different people have done this, version of this or something similar, and I always enjoy it. It's really cool to get to know people a little bit more. I mean, there's only so much talking you can do in videos, and I don't do hardly any talking in videos. So it's nice to get out there and get to know some of the community and different folks.
Yeah,
involved.
it's true. You don't do much of the talking. Instead, you have another format which we'll get into. There's a lot to it actually. But I did want. So I met you. Was it the year before last year? It's been a couple
I think
years.
It's probably about 2 years, man.
I ran into your videos. Okay, it's not like you ran into I ran into yours, and I love the themes that you know. To me, it feels like home when we're talking about comic book pop culture. Also, that Lord of the Rings, Dungeons and Dragons, all that is actually what interests me and excites me. It's warm feelings from the past as a kid. Is that the same with you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of the things. I think. Well, I'm going to kind of go off subject here, but
Sure.
One of the things that I always liked was listening to you, Rick Wilkie, and Ryan Bitters on the podcast, right? The Scratched, because and it was one of my easily. I'm going to go out there and say it. Sorry, Jamie, but #1 podcast that I'd love to listen to. And actually, I'd be waiting for it on Mondays. I was like, man, what are these guys going to talk about next? And I'd messaged with Rick a couple of times. He's like, man, you need to come on and, hang out with us. And I tell him, dude, if I go on there, I'm just going to be agreeing with Eloy the whole time, just shaking my head. Yes, because he's, Eloy's correct. Maybe not so much about the lizard people thing, but the rest of the stuff is like, everything you talk about, man, growing up, going to the comic book store, having your comic books. I was into we're pretty much the same age, but I was into I hit comic books a little bit later. So I saw them really more in the 90s was when I got into it, and got to, have the appreciation for Lord of the Rings and that whole realm. And it's interesting because it's like you're over there in Florida, I'm over here in Texas, but a lot of there's a lot of similarity in our lives, or at least how we grew up with the whole pop culture scene and all that, which I just always found interesting. So it's kind of funny, you ended up finding me on YouTube. I think you probably left a comment on my video or one of my videos, and that's usually how it's like somebody leaves a comment, it's like, oh, let me go check them out, see if they have a channel, is what I usually do. And if they do, I'll start watching it. And then I think that's how probably I might have connected with you. So it's always fun to me, man, to hear you reminisce, when you tell some of your stories or in your videos. It's like, man, I can totally relate to what you're talking about, which is just, it's one of those things that's, you're almost two different sides of the country, but there's so many similarities between the two of us and how we grew up.
Well, yeah, the thing is that back then, we didn't have the internet. I mean, I guess there were computer people that were so into, and they were doing like code or what, I don't even know. They were nerds, right, to us. So we'd be just collecting comic books, playing D&D, movies, sneaking into a secondary movie, the things that one does. So all those things are the memories that I have, and I see that coming through in your work. So yeah, I was immediately drawn to it, and I was very positive, like awesome, dude, and like exclamation, like I get it, excited. And you had an interview with Ryan Bitters. I don't even know how the heck I met Waylight Creations, but you had an interview there, and you shouted me out at the end, which I thought was super nice, dude. I didn't expect it. I was like, holy crap, Dan the Maker Man shouting me out, dude. And then I had the interview with him after that, I think, and that was really cool. But just as an aside, for Jamie's sanity, the Scratched podcast was nothing to do with woodworking and all to do with life experiences and stuff. We wanted to do a podcast that was just random and this and that. What do you think about that, JP?
Believe me, ours is random as well.
I
So-
enjoy Makers International podcast as well. It's one of the other ones that I got subscribed to and listen to on weekly basis. That's they do the live thing too when they record, right, on Sundays.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like catching that, and then I don't like catching that, because if I catch that, then I don't listen to the podcast. So it's kind of like, I like listening to the podcast. I enjoy it because I can be in the garage, and when I'm sanding and don't really need to be paying attention, I can just have that on the headphones and listening to it. It's like, but the live part of it, which is what we're doing now too, is you get the chat part of it, which is always fun as well. So it's kind of a toss up. They did the Bobby Duke one this Sunday, which I was gonna listen in on Sunday, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna wait for it to come out. So I had some other stuff going on anyway, so it kind of worked out. So I'm looking forward to hearing that one.
We've actually got a giveaway going on at the moment, by the way.
Oh, mention it, dude.
So,
Well,
yeah.
What is it?
You can win it's actually, we've called it the sponsorship giveaway, where you can win a man grafting mug, a pot of Yorkshire Grit abrasive, wood turners abrasive base, which actually works on the headlights of your car as well. Or it works on acrylics as well, so plastics and such. So yeah, it's basically 2 prizes for 1 person. So yeah,
That's cool.
there's a link on the Facebook page to it, or you can go to makersinternationalpodcast.com, go to challenges and contests. At the top of the page, it takes you to a Glee map, and there's 9 different ways to enter.
All right.
And
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, and it just you got 9 opportunities, and you can go back daily for an extra entry as well if you wanted to.
I also want to mention Harneal Media. You guys have heard us mention it a lot. I've got a website through them. So does Jamie Page.
We've got 2.
You've got Makers International.
Yeah, the podcast and my website is done by Steve.
Right. So Steve Nealon, and I don't know if he's in the chat or not, but for you guys that are makers that don't have websites, or you're not too happy or keen on what you got and you need, he provides that service, and he's helped me out with my website. I've been able to get to the point where I have my shirts, kind of like what Doc has his shirts, campaign. Well, I've got it on my website, my shirt, and I've got my content, this and that. So there's a link in the description if you're interested. He's a maker himself, so he kind of understands, where the fine details of that, within our scope of what we want to do. So I feel very comfortable with him, and that's how come we shout him out all the time. So anyhow, with that said, so Dan, give us a little bit, if you would, of your background, where you're at, just anything you'd like to share so we get a better picture.
Well, I live in Texas, in the United States, of course. Family man, got wife, 2 kids, live in the suburbs. That's one of the things I like to tell people. It's like, I'm just a guy in my garage doing stuff, There's I don't know, not too much right now. YouTube is what I do for the moment. I haven't branched out as much as I like in terms of like trying to get sponsorships and that sort of stuff, but I won't go into that at the moment. But I don't know, man. I'm just a regular old dude, man, that likes to make stuff. If I see something I like or something I want to make, I go for it and try to make it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I get the impression you were in the military, yeah?
Yeah, I was in the Army. Well, I joined the Army right out of high school, and they sent me off to Germany for a couple years, and then I came back home. I realized how much I miss home after being gone for 2 years, and I decided, I don't want to go back into the Army, so I left. I was what they called mechanized infantry. I was an 11 Mike, so it's basically infantry. You go learn how to be an infantryman, and then you also learn how to drive a Bradley fighting vehicle, which is It's an armored personnel carrier that's got a turret with a 25 millimeter gun. It can carry, I think, this is a long time ago, man, but I think 7 people inside the hull. It was cool. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. Did a lot of cool stuff. I mean, I enjoy, guns and that sort of stuff even before I was in the military. So being in the military and getting to go down ranges and popping targets is always a lot of fun. But yeah, after I got home, after that, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to stay home. And that's when I'll take this in a little bit of a sappy direction, but my wife actually knew in high school. We were friends, never really, tried anything, or at the time I go off to the Army, started writing back and forth. And then when I get home, she's like the first person I looked up. And ever since I was home, I was like, that's it. It's like, she's the one for me. And, we ended up dating for a couple of years and we got married and been married ever since.
Well, that's beautiful, dude.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a funny thing because she, when I was in junior high school, I moved from one side of town to the other side of town to a new school. Didn't know anybody, and it's completely different. Way more diversified on this other side of town than where I used to live. And I remember like maybe 2 people from junior high school because everything was new, and I was in the 8th grade, right? So cut to, where my wife and I were married, this and that, and people like, how do y'all meet? And I always say, well, I met her in high school. And she always says, no, we met in junior high school. You just don't remember me. And it's like,
wow.
It makes me feel, she likes to, kind of rub me there just to get at me. But she says it jokingly, but it's funny because she remembers me in high school, but like I said, I know there's 2 other people that I remember from high school. And the only reason I remember them is because they have the same name as me. They're both named Daniel.
I have that same problem, dude. Like, I can remember, like, generalized, but if it comes down to certain people, I can't. It has to be a person that was, like, there all the time for me to even freaking remember them, dude. Does that happen to you? Obviously.
So sometimes it depends on the person, I guess. It's like you said, man, there's people that are just memorable, and other people are like, yeah, I have no clue who you are. Like, I'll run into people from, I'll be at IKEA, and I'll see somebody staring at me. I was like, man, why is that guy, mad dogging me over there? And I'm wondering what the hell. And then they'll come over. It's like, hey, Danny, right? That's what they call me in high school. Danny is like, yeah, what's up, man? It's like, it's like, it's me. And they're like,
so do you? But wait a second. Do you do the thing where, like, that you don't know who the heck they are? They know you, and you keep playing along with it.
No, I don't play it off. I just like, hey, I was like, man, I just straight up, I was like, I don't know you. They're like, yeah, it's me, like Ron from high school. I was like, I don't know who you are. It's like, your mom works with my mom. I'm like, what? It's like, who are you? But eventually, with enough recollection, enough facts, I figured I was like, oh, you're that guy. You're in 9th grade English class or something. It's like,
awkward.
Hell, dude. Yeah, it's like, people. It cracks me up, man. People will have like one class with you in high school, and then they'll remember you for like the rest of their lives. It's like, man, I'm not like that at all. It's like you said, the more you're around me, obviously, the more I'm going to have a chance to remember you. But there's just people out there, man, that blow me away with how well they remember every single person they went to high school with. I'm not that guy.
Are you big with sports, or are you more cerebral? I mean, where do you lean in your activities? Obviously, I know we all know the answer, right?
Yeah.
But maybe we might be surprised.
I played football professionally for no, I'm just kidding. No, man, I'm not a big sports guy. When I was a kid, I used to like playing sports. We used to play basketball and baseball was a big thing. I was always really small growing up. I was the smallest kid in my class, which is funny because like we look at now that I have kids, they have their classroom pictures, and I tell them I was always a kid that was like front row, right corner, because that's the shortest kid spot, right? That's where the shortest kid always is. I was like, that's how you know where I am. There's no trouble finding me in those old pictures. And so I never really got into sports that big, like in school or anything like that. I like playing them. Now that I'm older, man, I can't get into watching them a whole lot. It's the way I look at it is, you can sit down and watch a football game for 3.5, 4 hours, or I can be in the garage making something. It's like I'd rather be in the garage making something.
I was recently reading, as an aside, actually it's pertinent to this, but where there's different people that go off, and there's a mixture of different types, right? It's not like one black and white thing, but you have the people that are lean towards sports and always activities outside, and then you have people that look inward and basically like they're entertained, like with their creation, whatever they're going to create, whatever. Do you have that? Where are you ever bored, or do you always have something cooking in your mind, even when you're not doing something? Are you ever bored? If you are, you are. I mean, well.
It's one of those, I guess. I only feel bored when there's something that I want to do more than what I'm doing, and usually it's related to making something. Right? If I have an idea of like, oh man, I really want to try to make this knife, and it's like you said, cooking in your head. It just keeps going and going and just mulling over different things that you want to do. It's hard for me to be bored when I'm doing that, but there's other times where it's just, like I'm not a real big TV watcher anymore. I mean, there's very few shows that I watch, and I don't like sit down. Like back when I was a kid, it's like, oh, Thursday nights, must see TV or whatever. You sit down from 7 to 10 o'clock and you just straight watching TV all night, right?
Yep.
It's like that doesn't happen anymore. I mean, if I want to watch something, I usually go to YouTube and look for something there.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude.
Yeah, there's always something new, especially with the longer I'm in the community. And as you know, I wasn't on Facebook until last year when you and Ryan Bitters kept pressuring me into getting on Facebook and getting into the groups. Like I had no interest in Facebook either. But I'm really happy you guys got me in there.
Dude,
it's tremendous group, man. There's nothing. I'm in a few other groups, and it doesn't compare to the guys in the I Like to Make Stuff group.
Well, the thing is, yeah, I reached out to you, and you're like, no, dude, I'm kind of a private guy. And in the videos, you show the hands. They were joking, by the way. All the cats. Most of which some not, but like, oh, when you interview Dan, I think even Jamie Page got in on this. It's gonna be Dan's hands and my floating head. There's not gonna be anything else. So you're quite private, but you got into we pushed and put. Now, I was surprised you said yes, and it's good because marketing side of it, and it's just the interaction of like-minded people. But you know who's difficult, and we've been pushing and pushing.
Yeah, Steve.
From
SDM Custom, yes.
Dude, the guy is a recluse.
I don't know. He's solid, man. He's an oak. He does not move.
Dude, the dude will not budge. And I reach out to him on Instagram. Hey, dude, maybe? Yeah. Impossible. I hope he's there watching.
I'm looking for him on the chat right now. I've told him before. I've stopped pressuring him, but I mean, he'll message me or I'll message him about something on Instagram. And I'll tell him, like, dude, that's like, it's not like your usual Facebook where it's, people posting stuff about politics or, all the reason people end up leaving Facebook. So right. It's an awesome group where you can get all kinds of just, I mean, for me, information, man. It's like, hey, I got a problem with this. There's 10 different people that are professional electricians in there that can help me out in 10 seconds.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Love it.
So JP, I know there's a few questions you just mentioned, but before that, let me just mention this. We haven't even gotten into the interview yet. we're just massaging the outer world of, but I'm sure that the questions they're going to ask is going to ruin all my questions, but go ahead. This is the Mad Maker show, so I'm sure they're gonna have questions that I already have in mind. But
what I'll do first is I'll quickly run through a few people that are out in the chat.
All right.
First, just so kind of welcome people over here. We've got Cage Creations, Charles Deering, Jim Bashirs, Portal Woodworks, Javi's Wood Shop, Chad from Man Grafting. We've got Mr. Ragtie, Be Happy Woodworking and Honeybees, Jake Thompson, Sophie from Make It Soph, Doc's over there. Who else we got over there? Let's keep scrolling back up. Mark Lindsay, It's Mr. Sterling Davis. Steve, Harnell Media. Wood Nerd. Sterling Davis. Did I mention Sterling?
Yes.
Matt Brander was over there. Chris V. STD. No, that's certainly wrong. STM Customs. Katie Dotson.
Ooh, SDM. I hope you heard the interaction.
So
Go ahead. I'm sorry. That was
yeah,
rude of me.
that's all right. Anyway, first one. Cage Creations. Why doesn't Dan have any light bulbs?
They're too expensive, man. They stopped making the fluorescent ones. They switched to. Did y'all know that they're doing LEDs now only? GE decided that
Yeah.
fluorescent bulbs are not it anymore, and they're just gonna stick to LED, which is like, okay, now I gotta switch everything in my damn house to LED.
Yeah.
Dude, this is the Mad Maker show, so I'm gonna rant, but
Do it, dude. Do it up.
I'm gonna sound like an old man, dude. It used to be I would have to go to Walmart and remember where the freaking light bulb section was because I hardly ever bought light bulbs, right? It's just like I didn't know where they sold light bulbs because I don't buy them that often. Switch to, okay, we're getting rid of incandescents. Now we're going to CFL, everything CFL. Okay, light bulb goes out. Now I go buy a bulb. Get home, it's a different color. It's like, okay, now we got color light bulbs. We got soft light, blue light. And it's like, okay, so the light in my living room looks different than the light in my kitchen now. And that's a little annoying. It's like, okay, so now I got to make sure I buy the right type of bulb, right? The right color bulb. So I go buy the right color bulbs. Now there's 10 of them that I got to buy because we got those the floodlights, right? Because we're fancy like that. And go to Lowe's and find the bulbs that we like, the right color, 3500K and the whole bit. And then CFL bulbs last for 7 years. That's what they said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. A year later, I'm buying 2 more new bulbs because the ones I bought last year are out. And it's like
They're lying to us, dude.
Yeah,
I
no.
knew
So then, okay, so you get the free bulb. If I did the whole thing where you keep the receipt and you got to keep the old packaging to get the new bulb. I started doing that because these bulbs kept going out, and they're not cheap. They're like $8 a pop or something, right?
Yeah, dude.
So then this last time, bulb goes out. I go to Lowe's. I can't find the bulbs anywhere. The ones I was buying, they're like the CFL R40 bulbs or something. They don't have them anymore. So I go to the front counter, like, hey, I can't find this bulb. You guys got it in stock? Oh, we stopped selling those. And that's when I come to find out. The lady starts telling me at Lowe's, it's like, yeah, GE is not making CFL bulbs anymore. You got to get the LED versions. It's like, oh, so now I got to buy 10 more new bulbs.
Oh, they're burning you good,
that
dude.
are all LEDs, right? And then here's the kicker, which is just like, God, I'm like the old man yelling at random people for get off my lawn. I go to look at it, I was like, well, I guess I'll bite the bullet. LED bulbs last for 40 years or whatever they say. I go to look at the colors. They don't have the damn color that we used to buy, right? We used to have like I can't remember what it is, like 3,000. It's in between range. It's the 2,800 and like 5,000 K is what they got now. So they don't even make the bulb color light that I like now. Now, mind you, 10 years ago, I would not have cared what color the bulbs were. Just give me the damn 40-watt bulb and that's it.
Right.
But now it's a whole, it takes an hour to get a light bulb, which is just ridiculous, man. It's like stuff like this is like I'm wasting my time buying light bulbs and start researching on Amazon trying to find somebody that has a light bulb because I got used to the light being in a certain color. Like that's ridiculous, hilarious. Man. That is ridiculous. Anyways, I don't even know what the question was. That's my rant. Why do I only have one light bulb?
Why don't you have any light bulbs? It's probably you have got a lot of light bulbs. It's just they don't work.
I'm up to my ears in light bulbs. I'm lousy with light bulbs over here.
One of the next questions comes from Sophie from the channel Make It So. She says, "What's Dan's favorite project to date?"
Oh man, I like. There's one that I really like. It was a Joker painting that I did, and really because I don't have any like real artistic talent. Like I can't take a notepad and draw like a face or Batman or anything like that. But I like copying stuff. and that kind of stems from my brother is a really, really good artist. I mean, he can do really good illustrations, and I was never able to. I just never had the commitment to do it. But I got into copying stuff, and that Joker is it's a copy of an artist named Alex Ross, who draws like he uses photo references for all of his artwork. It's comic book stuff, and it looks really cool. It's just really realistic, and I was just really happy with how it came out because I didn't expect it to come out as good as it did. And my brother, who can actually draw, he saw it in person, like, it's like, damn, man, because I can't believe you drew. I mean, he was surprised at how well it came out. So that's one of those that I really, really like. But usually it's the one I'm working on at the moment. It's like what's got my juices flowing. I think like it is with most of us, yeah.
We've got a couple more quick ones.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Right, this one comes from Jake Thompson. He says, "How did you end up in Texas, and would you ever live anywhere else?"
I was born in Texas, Houston, Texas, born and raised. And as anybody that is born in Texas, or anybody that I've ever met, they would never want to live anywhere else. And I've had the opportunity to I've been to Georgia. That's where I did my training for the Army. And then when I went to Germany, I lived there a couple years. Got to go to Luxembourg when I was there. Got to go to Amsterdam. Got to go to Kuwait. Where else did I go? I've been to a few different places. I'm not as worldly as some other folks, but I've gotten to see a few other different places, and I can say I would always return back to Texas. There's just something about living here and the people here. I mean, perfect example. Look at Hurricane Harvey. I mean, you saw what people did for each other, and that, I'm sure for most people, they might have been covered in the evening news. For us, it was about a week's worth of just straight 24 hours of news, just every day on all the prime TV channels. It was just news all day long, every day. And you saw just act after act after act of people just helping other people and not waiting for the government or authorities to come and say, hey, we need to get some boats. No, people just, I've got a boat, I've got a trailer, I got a big truck, I'm gonna drive out there and start helping people. And
yeah, for
that reason, and it's not uncommon, man. People help out other people. I mean, that little bandsaw table that I made for my portable bandsaw, I put a note out to some of our neighbors in a little, it's called the Nextdoor app, which just kind of like a message board for neighborhoods. Say, I need a piece of steel. Anybody got anything left over? This guy gives me a 1/4 inch, like 2 foot by 4 foot piece of plate that the guy just had. And he's like, I don't want it. My son-in-law was going to use it. He never used it. You can come have it. Just come pick it up. Guy helps me even load it because it's heavy, man. I asked him before I went to go pick it up. I was like, can one person lift it? He's like, well, and goes, I can drag it, but that's about it. But it just, to me, man, Texas just got a special kind of, I don't know, feel, if you call it that. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Last one come from Ragtie. He said, what is your ratio of shop-related dreams to others? I'm going to stop that again. I'll say it as he's actually written it, rather than me trying to reword it.
Wait, no,
you can't edit Ragtime, man. That's not.
Wait, JP, it's like your tongue kept like tripping, like rolling into itself until
right. So what's his ratio of shop-related dreams to dreams other than making?
Man, Ragtime asks very good questions. That's a hard one. Man, I don't know. I kind of take it day by day. I can't say I have any like super long-term plans. I'm having a lot of fun right now. I enjoy being creative. I find that if I go without being creative for a while, I do get a little bit, down in the dumps. But the cure for that is just getting out there and starting to work again, which is nice because the past 2 years I've been able to do that a lot. And it's like a drug type of thing, you get that high from when you finish a project and then you come down And then, you start getting excited again about the next one. It's that same anticipation that ramps up, and it's a drug that's perfectly legal. So I'm going to keep consuming it as long as I can for the moment.
All right. Any other question before we continue? Feel free out there in the chat to.
No, but Cage Creation just put the icing right on the cake. He said English is hard for the Englishman.
Well, it's funny because like you started with the question, but you I don't know the way the vowels, and then it's just you roll to a stop. It was hilarious, dude.
And this is for Jim because he asked me not to do it again.
So Dan, let me ask you, I guess the second question of the evening. Your videos, and not to mention talking about the projects themselves, but let's focus on the videos to focus on something, right? Your videos have evolved with the audio and the visuals, and of course the projects as well. But please take us down your thoughts, your actual thoughts on what you're envisioning, why you're going in the direction. Because I'll just mention this to the folks out there as an aside. If you've not seen Dan's work, how he sets the video, the mood, the tone, it's symphonic, right? Cinematic. So just let us know your thoughts on that.
Well, I can tell you, I started off like everybody else, just making videos, and it's one of those, people often ask, what do I do? What do I not do? And the best way, what I always try to tell them is get out there and make a video, because you don't know what you don't know until you make it. It's like as soon as you make your first video, you look at it and you're like, man, I shouldn't have done that, or I should cut that short, or next time I need to do that, or this would have been a better angle. I need to move my arm or whatever, right? And that's part of the whole process of improving, which some people take that route and want to keep getting better and better. Other people get to the stage where they're happy where they're at and they just want to stay where they're at, which is perfectly fun as well. But for me, I started, try to make my videos better and more concise. And someone said this before, trying to make videos that I would watch, right? Because ultimately that's what's going to happen anyways. When you edit it, you have to watch a video over and over and over. So it's like, you might as well enjoy the process. So that's kind of where I started going. And then I started watching, I don't even remember how I came up on him. Jacko whatever, right?
Yeah.
He came out on a video with David Welder, and it was like some bucket challenge where he had a bunch of stuff in a bucket and he told David to make something out of it. And I was like, who's this guy, And then I started kind of following him because the idea of a bucket challenge kind of intrigued me. And he started making his own videos, and that guy's like on a whole nother level when it comes to film production. I mean, I think that guy, if he wanted to make a movie, he could probably make a movie and it would be good.
Yeah.
And his style was the style which I tried to emulate and try to rip off, frankly, it was a single lit, or one major light source, maybe a couple ancillary ones, but one major light source in a big room. He's got the space for it. And what I noticed is it kept my eye on what he was doing, which I thought was cool, right? Because a lot of times I watch my videos, my older ones are like, oh, wow, you can see the tennis rackets that, my wife and I have never used hanging back there. It's like, and sometimes you get comments from people like, oh, I have the same, folding chairs. And it's like, so you're watching the video, or are you watching, the crap in my garage?
Both.
Right. So I kind of, I tried doing the single light thing one time, and it was like, man, it was hard shooting that way because there was it would get in your way or get in my way. And it was a little frustrating. I tried it once and I was like, I won't do it again. So I kept going back to my other style, just fully lit shot. But in the back of my head, I kept, thinking, man, it would be cool if I could do this and that, and just, I'll give it another shot. And then I realized the more I did it, the more I liked it. And it became very much it becomes a 2-project video, right? Every time it's the project that I'm building and then the video that I'm making. And it's one of those things where I don't know how well if it even helps my channel. Sometimes I feel like I make videos more for like you Bill Lavosi was always paying me compliments as well. He was another guy who was trying to kind of up his game when it came to shooting video. But ultimately, it's like I enjoy making it more the way I'm making it now than I used to before, because it's man, I love getting shots where it's like if I can get it to look like it's completely black in there except for like my vise with a piece of steel hanging off, man, I love that. There's nothing to me that to me it looks so cool. And that's where I go back to, okay, now I go back to the editing, right? When I get done with all this, I got to chop all this thing, put it together, and make it look decent. So instead of dreading it, now I go into the editing process enjoying it, because now I'm going to get to see, okay, what am I going to get to put together? What are the shots that actually turned out the way I wanted them to turn out, you know? And getting to piece that together. I try to use some decent music sometimes and make it. I edit to the beat of the music. Sometimes I don't necessarily cut at every exact same beat. Sometimes I switch it up just so that, again, the audience isn't expecting, okay, he's going to cut now. He's going to cut now. It's just, kind of a little bit random.
That's very. I don't mean to stop you, but that's an important thing that I always have in my mind as well. I don't apply it every time, but that you just said, I think it's freaking. To me, and that there's styles to reach from one side of the world to the other and all that stuff, but to me, that you said is freaking key. One of the keys as far as video and introducing, where you are actually working not every beat, but you're attentive to the actual music and you chop right when a beat hits, because that beat, that heartbeat, or that violin or whatever.
Right.
Is helping you transition to the next thing, and subconsciously the person is totally taken there. So that the fact that you said that, well, it's obvious, but just that you mentioned it out loud, take note, because I think it's an important thing.
Yeah, I think it makes some people, I say people a lot, but there's people that complain about jump cuts because they don't like it, because it's very jarring. It's like you're doing one thing, then boom, all of a sudden you're doing something else, right? It's like you're getting smacked every time with jump cuts. Some people do it well, some less, but that's why I like the music part of it, because I think it's works on the and this is just me completely BSing here, from what I think and what I feel is when you add that transition right at the beat, when you do that jump cut at the beat, I think it's less jarring because they're getting the beat and it's like boom, it's expected, unexpected kind of mix thing that I think works. And again, it goes back to I'm making videos that I want to watch, that I like to watch. I watch all kinds of stuff. But when somebody does a, really cool lit video with, cool music or nice cuts, stuff like that, man, I get into that. It's like, that's kind of like, that's what I like. I don't know if I'll keep doing it. It's a little bit harder to shoot that way because, I don't have any fancy gear, man. I've got a little camcorder that I've shot way too many sparks into. Starting to show little halos now. And I've got a light that's one of those clamp lights, it's like the big round reflector. And I've got a small, like little 40-watt bulb in there. Chad Grossclaws from Mancraft, he made just like a little spotlight on his channel. It's very similar to that, where it's just kind of, I actually got paper taped to the outside to make kind of a cone to focus the light a little bit more. And that's on a curtain rod light stand that I made. That's one of my videos where I use that thing every single time I shoot. I use it. Even when I'm not filming, it's like I'm just going to make something and I want to have light like right on there. I bring over that curtain rod, little lighting, curtain rod lighting stand, whatever you want to call it.
Very cool.
But, yeah, man, it's when they say you don't need a lot to shoot, I'm in that club for sure.
Well, the thing is that you have, so you're working on multiple levels. You're working on the level of the artistic vision for the video. So you're manipulating your environment. You're also aware and actively manipulating the audio, and then you have the projects. All these things occurring at the full force attack, YouTube style, which is freaking impressive,
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Man, I don't think I'm anything special. I think it's just a matter of paying attention to what other people do, man. Try to copy it. I mean, like I tell you before, it's like when it comes to drawing and art, I try to copy what I see because I want to have it too. But it's like they don't sell 50-inch, size MDF cutouts of Spider-Man, so I'm gonna make one. Yeah.
Yeah. JP, are there any questions? Because we don't want to leave out the questions too late.
If there is, I may have missed them, but the chat seems to be a little bit behind at the moment. But we've got a few more people over in the chat. We've got Mr. Bobby Duke. I want to do his patented scream, but it's a little late here at night, so I'm not going to. Michael Zurch is over there as well. Who else we got over there? I'm going to get this right this time. SDM Customs is over there.
SDM.
Habby's Woodshop's over there.
Habby.
Shelley Cole from Know What Mum Knows is over there. Liberty Woodworking's over there.
Shelley.
Matt Huss is over there.
Matt.
Jay Thompson's over there still.
Jake.
Sophie from Make It Sophie's over there still.
Sophie.
Charles Deering. Jim Bashirs is over there.
Charles.
You Do It. He's over there. Drew from Ox in the Shop is over there. Mr. Heath over there.
Ox.
So yeah, Heath Knuckles gave away my spear to somebody else the other day, so I'm not that impressed with him at the moment.
Was that thing beautiful or not? Man, that thing was gorgeous.
Yeah, very impressive. So that's why I'm not happy with him. And Shogun Jimmy's over there as well, so you can thank him personally now. He's
Shogun. Earlier on, thank you, Jamie. Earlier on,
sorry, Mark Lindsay's over there as well. I better say his name because he's crying over there.
Shogun, earlier on at the start of the, I don't know if you were in or not. Let us know in the comments, just for the sake of knowing. I showed off the box and the pen, and thank you so much. Freaking awesome. Here's the pen. Boom. Boom. And Doc, I don't know if Doc was in when I showed the shirt. Murdoch.
Very cool.
Right?
Let's
do the show like this.
Now.
Hello. So yeah, go. So let's touch upon this. So you did. Tell me how that went. That went. You were doing spinners prior, but you had a spinner video that frickin' exploded all over YouTube. So hit us with just give us that, because it's pretty impressive. I think we're talking in the millions maybe. And by the way, congratulations to Bobby Duke for his explosion all over YouTube as well. So yeah, give us the lowdown on that with the spinach spinner.
Healthy spinners for healthy kids. Spinners. It's a new thing, man. No, I got really lucky with that, and that's because of our buddy Ray Pena.
Ray Pena.
He made. You introduced me to Ray. I can't remember how. I think it might have been through Facebook. You told me to check this guy out or something like that.
Dude, Ray is a badass.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like that dude. He can literally make anything he wants. I mean, literally. Yeah. And he came out with a video showing a spinner that he had gotten a contract for, that his machine shop had gotten a contract to make. Right. So he was just showing the process of how they made it, and that's when like spinners at the time were like more popular on YouTube, Instagram than they were like the world at the moment.
Yeah.
And I left a comment on his video saying, "Hey, do you think you can make a Batman one?" And he said, "Yeah, I think I can." That was his reply. And 2 weeks later, he comes out with his Batman spinner video where he made two different versions out of bronze, like 1 inch thick bronze. They're ridiculous. I mean, they're really cool looking. And I was like, man, I want to try to make one just to see if I could do it. And I had some.
Can I? I don't want you. I just want to say one thing about that moment in time. Tell me if I'm wrong, but you guys also tried to help me out. Said, Eloy, you do a fidget spinner too. Was it during that time that because I came out with that really dumb stormtrooper this big, connected to a gun? And
it was. I think ours had come out and they started doing well, and then we tell you, man, you need to get on this bandwagon.
and I come out with this freaking.
I thought it was cool because that was, you did an Intarsia version of a stormtrooper, right?
Yeah, I did. I did it. Jamie Page, listen up. Dan the Maker said.
So I'm not worried. I'm not worried. You cut your finger on a scroll saw blade.
Dan the Maker,
you believe me, you're by no means a threat.
Well, let's not get out of hand here. But long story short, it was ridiculous. This big. You guys were thinking something badass, streamlined, and I ended up. So continue. I'm sorry. I just wanted
I do remember that because we were surprised it was doing well. But basically, I made a version. I made a Batman series. I'm a big Batman fan. I think if anybody that watches my channel will have figured that out by now. And when I saw those spinners, the first thing I thought was like, man, whoever makes the first Batman version of this is gonna get just they're gonna go bananas. You know, kids are gonna want them because it's just a natural fit. And so after Ray made his, I went to the Facebook group and actually asked for some help. Like, if I want to cast something, what do I use? And the Peter Brown actually replied to my comment and was like, yeah, what are you trying to do? Help me out. Tell me what to buy. And then I just made a video of me trying to make a Batman spinner using different methods. I figured it was a good, that video is just like me just kind of experimenting, see like what I can, if I can make one, you know, and I'm not trying to make the best one, just to see if I can make one. And it was doing all right. And then around like April or May, it just like blew up, man. I don't know. And I know for a while there was Ray's video was suggesting my video and my video was suggesting his video or something like that. So there was some good interplay there. And
what happened with my Stormtrooper thing?
I don't know, man. You should have put Batman in the SEO search terms. Always just put Batman in all your videos, dude. Just put Batman in the SEO keywords because it can't hurt.
There's a tip for you folks. Batman, no matter what.
Yeah, and man, it took off, and I think after the summer it kind of started going down the views. But I mean, that's one of the things. Like, you look at how many subscribers. I've got 16,000 subscribers.
Right.
And it's like, man, that's not bad. But if you look at how many people actually watch my videos, it's like a tenth of that watch my videos. And it's just, that's just what it is, right? Because it's all the kids that subscribe to my channel because I made Batman spinners aren't interested in watching me make a knife or, you know, other stuff, which is, it's one of those things you can't. I try not to focus too much on subscribers. I like looking at the views because I still get decent amount of views. And it's just, man, YouTube is a weird thing, man. Because I get some of my older videos will just get popular all of a sudden, and next you know they've got, you know, a few thousand views and a few thousand more views, and it's just steady growing. It's just like I have no clue how the hell it happens. It just happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was crazy. I mean, that was, I think that video has like 2.7 million views or something like that right now. That Batman spinner video.
Yeah, barbaric.
And now, so I made a few more spinners because I was like, well, you know, me and Ray were kind of just having fun with it, and he made a Flash one, and I made a Flash one. And someone recently left a comment on the Flash video, of the Flash spinner video, said this is lame, and I kind of left them a not so nice comment, but it's like, dude, it's almost a year old video now at this point. Well, maybe not a year old, but it's a pretty old video.
Yeah, when a troll is coming around to troll you from a 6-year-old video, 8-year-old video, 20-year-old video, you know, they've got big problems. A fresh troll, maybe, but, you know? Yeah,
it's just what I was doing. It's like, whatever, man. It's like, it's got 300,000 views. I don't really care at this point what you have to say about it.
Yeah, you're mentioning Batman over in the chat, and I think Sophie over there is gonna wet herself in a minute. She's kind of a big fan, like Alan, the woodworking junkie. They kind of mention Batman, and it's sort of like they go off in a tangent in their own little world.
Man, everybody that's trying to break into YouTube, I tell them, make something Batman. It's like, make something Batman, because anything I've done Batman related, does pretty decent.
I don't know. I'm thinking about changing all my keywords to skull chair.
Scroll check.
Oh,
What?
you know what happened? You know what happened? I've kept mentioning in other shows like Charles Deering's show and stuff that if they want to find, because my name is so long and difficult, if you don't know me, if you know me, you know me, and if you don't, you're like, what the heck? You know, how am I going to remember that? You know, so what I tell people is just type in skull chair and I'll be the one at the top on the YouTube results. And it's still true, right? Well, a guy picked up on it, somebody picked up on it, and they created a playlist of their own videos. And they used my title. And by the way, when I put video, I put a big V, a small I, a big, you know, like I made it funky. They copied the whole title, and now he's ranking. You know, his
son
whole.
of a gun.
Well, that's how it is, right? You know, what are you gonna do? But mine's is still up there. So, what was your question, JP? I'm sorry.
Oh, there weren't no questions. I was just making fun of Alan and Sophie.
So, Dan, apart from the spinners, there's much more actually. So I don't want to get into. Actually, do I? I don't know if I should ask you about your stenciling layering process first, or if I should ask you. And by the way, I have to ask you it in a way that I can actually Q&A it when I write it in my website. So I'm being very random, but that's fine too. We'll figure that out. So I don't know whether to ask you about that or ask you about getting into metalworking and blades and the handles and all that. I guess hit us, pick one, and well, no, let me ask it. You know what? I'll ask it in a proper way. So talk to me about why you got into making knives. I know you got into letter openers but you started getting into metalworking. Can you please give us a rundown of that and your thought process?
Yeah, that's one of those things where it came about because I watched a lot of YouTube knife makers. And I actually, when I first got onto YouTube, that's what I used to watch a lot of, just because I was like, oh, one day I'm going to make a knife, one day I'm going to make a knife. And it's the rabbit hole, you know, scenario where you start watching one guy, then that leads you to another guy. And the next, you know, you're in this whole knife community of knife makers on YouTube. But that kind of was, I always put that on the back burner because honestly, I was a little scared, intimidated by it, because there's heat treating and you have to get the right steel, and it's all this stuff that sounds really complicated, but it's really not. And I like knives. I mean, I'm not a huge daily carry type of guy, but it's that whole, to me, a knife is one of those things that's part of a person's personality. It tells you a little bit about the person if you look at the knife they carry, right? If you whip out your knife, I've seen your knife when you open up, when you do unboxings.
Yeah.
It's a workman's knife.
Yeah.
And it's got some miles on it. You can see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's other guys who whip out a knife and it's pristine, right? And that's the knife collector. It's like that guy's got probably 50 knives, and that's just the one he's carrying today.
Yeah.
And then there's the style and the shape and all that stuff that plays into it, the different materials. And it's like all knives are the same, right? It's metal, handles, and a sheath if you want to go that far. But in that, there's so much you can do with it. There's so much variety and things you can add to make it yours. And that's one of the things that I realized when I started kind of trying to make knives. I wanted to make something that maybe looked a little bit different and that looked cool. Just JP, there you go. And see that it's stuff like that, and people love their knives, man. It's like there's people that they have a knife, they love it, they're gonna carry it until forever. I had a knife when I was in the Army. It was a Gerber Gator. I bought it for $30 at the PX. Carried that thing with me everywhere, and I used it a ton when I was in the military because we're out sleeping in the woods doing all kinds of stuff. But I had that forever. I kept it in my truck, and my truck got broken into about a year or two ago, and they stole it. That's the only thing they took. And I was like, it's a $30 knife. I think it's maybe $40 or $50 now. But it was like one of those things where, dude, I felt crushed because they took my knife, right? Because it had memories in it. I mean, it had, the whole time I've been in the military, that was the knife I carried. And it wasn't anything fancy, nothing special. You know, I didn't even like the serrated. It was half serrated, half regular blade. And it's just, didn't care for the serrated part, but I carried it every day with me. And then it's like, you know,
some jerk freaking comes along and says, you know, I'm gonna steal stuff because, you know, freaking.
And that's the thing that, you know, when you make anything, there's a little bit of you that goes into it. And knives, I think, kind of do the same thing. You make it, and you can see that person's personality in the object they created, and they're fun to make, man. It's just a different avenue. I mean, I'm not. That's why I chose the maker, you know, part of my name, is because I like to try to make anything, man. I can't weld. I don't know how to weld, but I saved up, you know, to buy a little cheap Harbor Freight welder, and it's like, hey, let me try to put this together. And I've actually made stuff, like a couple of things, just not on video for friends. And it's like, dude, I wouldn't have been. I mean, it's like, it's rough. I got to grind the hell out of it, but it looks decent at the end of the day, and they love it. Help them out. So, you know,
yeah, when people aren't into the whole making thing, and you make something for them that they would see at a store, because, you know, the whole China thing, and
yeah.
It's a very impressive thing for people, and plus the fact that you put all your sweat and yourself into it. I mean, it's probably the most special of gifts, other than winning $1 million in the lottery, right?
Yeah, and see, like, to me, man, making a knife, I think, is very much a kind of like a rite of passage sort of thing for any maker. It's kind of like you're gonna do your first dovetails, you're gonna do your first whatever, box joints, whatever. There's always that, you know, the first this, the first that. It's like there's always going to be that. You make yourself a knife, you're either going to love it or hate it. It's like, but I think most people get into it, man, and it's just fun to try different things. I like making like I would love to have a full size Lord of the Rings sword, right? But it's like, I'm not where am I going to put that? I'm not going to use it. If anything, I'd put it on the wall and just look at it, right? So that's where I got the idea for the letter openers. Like, well, I'll open letters up every now and then, a few times a week. It's like, if I make a letter opener in the shape of a Lord of the Rings sword, I'll get to use it and touch it and play with it, right?
That's awesome. How did that video? Does it continue to get? Because Lord of the Rings, that's like my favorite. You know, has it continued? Is there still interest in Lord of the Rings that you see, or what?
It did pretty well. I think that's one that keeps doing all right, keeps getting steady views. For a while there was like the most popular video that I had, and that was one that I had posted on, I think I'd posted on Reddit, and it did fairly well. And then that kind of, I think it took off. And that's one of those things, man, that like a few months later, I was Googling myself. Actually Google, not the other. I was Googling myself, and
I hope not.
And I found, get this, I found Popular Mechanics had done like just a little short article on the Lord of the Rings sword that I made, the letter opener.
Oh, wow, dude.
And it's like, and they never said, hey, we're going to do something on you, or hey, just what, I'm sure it's probably some, you know, not a permanent staff member, some guy that they got on the side writing stuff for them. But
yeah,
it was
freelancer.
Like, yeah, exactly. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool, man. It's like, you know, that's probably why I did well as well, that it reached that media outlet somehow.
Nice. JP, any questions out there before we ask?
Yes, mate. Yeah, you got a couple. You got one from Javi's Woodshop. He said, Dan, what's your second favorite DC character and first favorite Marvel character?
Oh man, DC for
Quicksilver.
me.
Quicksilver.
Not Quicksilver. I'm a big Batman Superman fan. I like Batman Superman. Batman edges out Superman, but I think just barely. But it's them two at the top. Marvel, I like Iron Man a lot and Wolverine a lot. Wolverine I liked as a kid because he's one of the first comics that I started reading. My brother used to buy the comics, so I was reading whatever he bought, right? I didn't have a say in the matter. So, but Wolverine, I read his, there was the series called Extinction, or was it Extinction? No, it was Weapon X. Is when they show a little bit of his backstory of how he got the adamantium skeleton and all that. And the thing I like about Wolverine is that he was short. I was short, so I identified with it. It's like, this is a short guy that's, you know, one of the baddest mofos out there. So of course I kind of helped my love grow for him, and I still like him. Love the movies. Hugh Jackman is probably, of course, Hugh Jackman's 6 foot something. He's too tall, but man, he just nailed the role. Have you seen the last movie, Logan?
Yeah, dude, awesome.
Love that movie, man.
But let me just say, I'll just say, and I'm just gonna ask you, and where does Quicksilver rank?
So I've sent you messages on Quicksilver.
No, I know. And it's not. It's the. Go ahead.
It's
Go ahead.
I don't even remember the guy's name now. It's Alpha Flight. The guy's in Alpha Flight, but it's not Quicksilver. He's a speed guy.
Yeah.
God, I
It's
can't remember.
similar, like Snow Blizzard or something.
There's
McFlurry.
McFlurry. There you go.
We'll leave that. Let's leave that for the scratched episodes. Let's
When
not go.
Scratch comes back, we'll be Scratched
Yeah.
episode 1, Quicksilver.
Okay, and the next one is from Ragtar again. He says, if you could work for 1 week in any maker's shop, who would it be?
Oh man, that's that's a tough question.
What's the first one that pops into your mind?
I always go to Jimmy DeResta, man. It's like
Yeah.
he's one of the guys that just it's almost a cop out to say him because it's so easy to, because he's got everything. I mean, he's got everything and then some, you know. So that would be
Yeah.
cool. But not only does he have all the tools, the guy's got like this crazy artistic, creative. You know, he says he's not an engineer, but he's got an engineering mind too. I mean, there's just this. That guy's just like, to me, one of those perfect mixes of combination of a maker. I mean, he's another guy who can just make whatever he want. And like I said, you know, he's got all the tools, so that'd be the place to spend the time. But man, I don't know. That's a tough one. There's so many people I wouldn't mind hanging out with. I mean, everybody from like, I wouldn't mind going to hang out with Eloy or hanging out with going
Well,
to
if they told you, all right, Dan, we're gonna give you the choice. You're gonna hang out. You can hang out with Eloy here in Miami, or you can go to Jimmy DeResta's for a whole week.
Okay, I just have one question.
Or you could go to England
And see JP.
and do the tour of England as well.
See, that's too much, man.
You don't have to answer that. We're just.
Do I get to
talking
go to
smack.
Disney World or is Disney World on there? Can you sweeten the pot, Eloy?
Well,
I'll take you to McDonald's. I'll take you to McDonald's. You can have some McFlurries.
We've got McDonald's in England, and the Red Smith is about 2 hours away from me over in France.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That's the Red Smith.
Yeah, that's
It's
another
about
guy.
2 hours away in France.
See, there's so many people, man. I try to watch as many as I can. There's no way I could possibly watch everybody I'm subscribed to. And when I first got on YouTube, I was real stingy with subscribing. Right, I was like, I'm going to subscribe to this guy because I watch him regularly. And I'd see some people, you know, it's like, I'm not gonna quite commit. It's too much of a commitment to subscribe.
Dude, same thing with me, dude. Same thing. Should I? No, shouldn't I?
Yeah, it's like you get into a relationship, right? But then it's after I got on Facebook, then it's like, man, I started meeting so many great people and getting to know them a little bit behind the scenes. It's like, man, I like the guy, so I'm gonna subscribe to that guy. And it just went bananas. I mean, I think I got like 200 plus subscriptions right now. So there's always something to watch, right?
Yeah, for sure, dude.
And I try to watch the ones that I like, man. It's there's so many different people out there doing so many different cool things. I mean, I wouldn't mind going to England and hanging out with all the guys over there, even Richard Morley.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
I won't go that far. He's a tall dude.
Yeah, I
He's
think
a
I saw from the picture of you guys at Heathrow.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think Richard's got to be. He must be about 6'7".
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
I think so. Before, I don't know if there's any. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah.
What happened?
I just
What happened?
instantly thought big dude. Whenever I think of somebody big in the maker community, I always think Paul Jackman, because he's just
Right.
mainly because he used to work in the smaller shop, so he's looked even bigger than he was. I mean, he's a big guy, but his first shop was so small. So I just saw Richard Morley as a Paul Jackman of
England, yeah.
Of England, yeah. Who's this Pat Lap though? Who's this Pat Lap though? That's what we need to figure out.
Ah,
Who would be his Pat Lattle? Not me.
Would Chris Cute sign up for that or?
Chris Coots is Oompa Loompa.
Well, I wanna mention before we ask the second question, if they have questions out there, feel free. But I want to I want to mention this. There's Waylight Creations channel, Ryan Bitters, Amy Bitters, Waylight Creations. There's going to be a show coming out. They're going to have trailers, but I just want to mention there's a lot of makers involved in it. And if you go to his channel last year, there was a series called Makers Wanted, and it's sort of like slapstick comedy, and a bunch of makers that you guys, all of you know, doing short segments, sort of like a variety, not a variety show, that's wrong, sort of like a Carol Burnett, but for makers.
It's a skit show.
It's a skit show, yeah. So that's going to be coming out. I don't know the dates and all that, but that's going to be coming out on his channel, and super fun. Should I even mention a few of the people? I'm not going to mention Mancrafting's in it or Hobby's Wood Shop. I'm not going to mention none of that, you know, or the Woodworking Junkie. Big names like, no, I'm not going to mention it. Who
Probably
else?
best not to.
Bales, that crazy son of a gun.
Doc's not in it either.
No, Doc, nuh-uh. So yeah, that's going on, and it's fun. We've been recording skits for it as well.
Can we? I know we're not. I don't know how much we're supposed to or not supposed to talk about that, but man, I really wish Ryan would put out the first one sooner than he wanted to.
Yeah,
I got a kick out of it, man.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, but you know, he wants to do the promos and stuff. You know, like a nice release, because there are so many people involved in it, and on a continuous. Oh, wait a second. There's even what do you call it? Tea time. Tea time with JP. What?
What?
Were you not paying attention to anything we were just saying?
No, I was in a world of my own then.
So yeah.
All right, tell her I was just ignoring you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's better. Well, JP's in it as well. So
In what? I've no idea what you're talking about.
Where the heck were you? Where was your mind?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So, any questions before we go to? It took a little while. Any questions before we continue with the other question? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to know what Dan the Maker Man is working on.
Right now, there's a thought in my head. I've got a little stool that I'm going to try to modify. It's pretty simple modification, but try to make it look. It's actually an IKEA stool. And I don't know if you guys follow Modern Builds.
Yeah.
What's the guy?
Yeah.
So he's got a series called IKEA Hacks that he's trying to come out with, and I'm going to try to jump on his coattails and do a quick little stool IKEA hack to see if I can get any traffic come my way off of his videos. Because, you know, whenever you have one video with one, you know, keyword in the title, when YouTube gets to the end of the video and it does the suggested videos,
yeah,
there's a good chance that yours will pop in there if it's related material. So that's one of the reasons I'm doing it, but also because IKEA's got these little cheap $5 stools, and they're good for what they are. I mean, they're just a cheap little plastic $5 stool. So I want to make it a little bit nicer with some just some scrap stuff I have lying around that'll hopefully make it look decent. And I'm going to use that stool in my house. I've got a little, it's an armoire thing that's a desk kind of thing. You can kind of cover the door, or the doors will shut and covers all the computer and all that stuff. So I just got that recently, and I need a little stool for that. I don't want a big chair, so I just want something I can kind of put off to the side. So I want to make something that looks a little bit nicer. But I don't think I'm going to break the
Swedish meatballs.
What's that?
Oh yeah,
Swedish meatballs.
Oh man, dude, that's like people say I don't like going to IKEA. Man, I like going to IKEA. Get those Swedish meatballs. Are you kidding me? These are delicious.
Well, it's fun, right? It feels like a little Disneyland for ideas.
Exactly, dude. There's tons of inspiration all throughout. I mean, their designs
are really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, they put a lot of effort and work into it. And then even I'll go one step further, and just you design something, and then you can make it so that it not only looks cool, but you can flat pack it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, and make it easy enough for the average person to assemble. I mean, dude, you got to give them credit where credit's due. That's not easy to pull off.
Yeah. I mean, but that's a sinful topic for makers. You know.
Oh man, dude, I don't care. I actually had a table from IKEA, and I did the IKEA hack before IKEA hack was cool. It was just a plain table, and it had the tabletop, and then we had the bottom of the table. And I would always put my feet up on the table. It was a coffee table, and man, my heel would start hurting because it's solid veneer, and I ended up getting some upholstery foam and some, I can't remember what the material was. It was some just like a soft kind of suede material, not suede, but microfiber. That's what it was. Microfiber. I figured out how to do those tufted buttons, and just did so the tabletop, let's say it's 2x4, so I cut off 4 inches off the whole thing, and did just an inset. Not really inset, I just screwed it in from the bottom and put it just a nice like 2-inch thick or 1.5-inch thick cushion on top. So when I put my feet up on there, my feet wouldn't hurt. And now I had a place to put, because I didn't take up the whole tabletop, I got a place to put my drink too. So it was a cool looking little table. I had to give it away because we had kids and it had nothing but sharp corners on it. So we ended up giving it away, but it's like that table is still kicking around somewhere in somebody's house. I think we gave it to one of my wife's aunts or cousins or something. But it's like stuff like that, man. You know, take it, modify it, make it your own. It's like it's already easy to put together. It's like, why not?
So anything? Give. I don't even know how to. Go ahead, JP. Hit us with something.
Yeah, I just remember that I've actually got a story that involves Dan that involves all three of us, and I think it was about the time that Dan just started Facebook. And the reason it involves Eloy is because there's a lot of people know Eloy's I'm gonna say surname is a British word for last name. It's hard to pronounce. And when Dan first, I think it was when Dan first started Facebook, like I just said, he always said, "You will never get a picture of me to Photoshop." And I said, "Oh, we'll get you. It's just a matter of time." And obviously, Dan's videos, he doesn't really show his face very much. And then he released a video, how to pronounce Eloy's last name.
That's right.
And the second that video was out, I screenshotted the video and got a picture edit put out. And I edited a picture of Dan the Maker Man as Bart Simpson.
That's right. You're right.
That came out really fast too, man. I remember that. I was like, wow, within no time it was up on Facebook. I was like, crap.
Yeah.
But wasn't it cool though, Dan? Going into Facebook and seeing all the cats that you know, and the chatting back and forth. It's really cool, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's one of the things. I mean, not only are you, for me, you're building the relationship too, but you're getting to see just the people behind the scenes and the amount of information that's out there. I mean, we talk about like the YouTube thing too.
Yeah.
Like that's people are very open with everything on YouTube, you know, and that's cool. I mean, you don't find that everywhere, and people aren't. Everybody's civil to one another on there. You know, there's none of this like bickering stuff that you get on Facebook. That's why a lot of people like Steve from SDM Custom said he used to be on it, but he got off of it because he just got tired of the political stuff and the silly arguments that pop up. And that's the one thing with the group. There's two things: people making stuff and people being funny on there.
Right.
And that's it. You know.
Which there's room. At least in my mind, there's room for all of it, right?
I think so. I think so. I mean, I think everybody there is grown up enough and acts like adults, so it works.
Well, with that said, let me ask you this question: your stenciling procedure when you're doing these huge, because with Dan the Maker Man, for those of you that haven't seen, he'll create a character from DC to, I mean, just everything, right? But focusing on that, and he'll layer it. I'm getting a call in the middle of the show. Can you believe this? Here, I'll answer it.
And then what?
I'm in the middle of a live broadcast. I will call you right back. Bye. Well, sorry about that. I could have ignored it, right? So the layering of the stencils, and to create, when you have a character with complex lines like Spider-Man or Batman or the Joker for that matter, you tape it, blue tape it, painters tape it, and then start working it. But just give us, how'd you start with that why'd you start with that process? Did you know about it from the beginning? You came to it, and just a little insight on what your thoughts are concerning that.
Yeah, that's one of those other things that kind of started down a rabbit hole on YouTube. There's a young lady named her channel's called Simply Sarah Art. She does amazing multi-layer stencils where it's more than just one. She'll have like a base layer. She'll do a base color, then she'll put another stencil on top that adds another color, another detail, and then another color, another detail. It's kind of like you're working in Photoshop. You know how you have like the different layers, or Blender, you have the different layers. Yes. You'll have like one. So she does that, but like in real life with like cut out stencils, which is just really cool to see. And she's really talented. And I said, well, yeah, I want to try something like that. And I tried doing a Batman one. And then when I was doing it, I was like, well, I was figuring out all the problems I was having. I was like, well, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. So I made a real simple black and white one. And then just going back, I started kind of trying to figure out how can I do it without going through the trouble of cutting all these different stencils, but getting the different layers of color. And that's when I started doing the whole blue tape thing, where it's basically a one-time stencil, because once I rip it off, I can't use it again. But it ends up working out so that I can put in the different colors and different details without having to know how to draw. I mean, even like with Spider-Man that you brought up, with all the webbing, which is hard to do, I think even for someone that knows how to draw, the way I do it with the blue tape, where I put down the blue tape and I'll lay basically the template of the actual drawing on top, and then just use a pen to trace that. And when I trace it, I trace just the top, the actual paper, and that ends up leaving just an indentation of the line from the ballpoint pen where I was tracing it, which I can see on the blue tape. And sometimes I go back over that with a pen, or sometimes if I can see it well enough, I'll just use that to cut out the line, or depending if I'm cutting out a line or I'm going to add detail to it or whatever. But that same thing where I'll take the paper template and put it on top of something that's already painted and trace that. And then that leaves an indentation in the paint, because the paint's still pretty soft because it hasn't gotten hard yet. So then I just go back and trace it. I mean, it's kind of one of those, it looks complicated, but once you do it and once you see the video, it's not as bad. Interesting note is I love doing those, but those videos hardly ever do that well. but it's like, I like them, man. It's like, you should see, I mean, my son's room, he's got a Batman, a Robin, an Iron Man, a Spider-Man that I've done. And it's like, I mean, you know, he's a 7-year-old boy that loves comics because of his dad. So yeah, his room's awesome. It's, you know, other kids walk into his room and like, whoa, you know, flipping out, like, where'd you get that? Yeah,
they have to think you're like the coolest dad ever.
Yeah, right? Well, and it's like, I won't go that far, but you know, like some of the other pieces that I've done that don't fit in his room, it's like we'll just put them in different part of the house. I mean, luckily my wife's very cool and she doesn't mind. She actually likes most of the stuff I make. It's like she doesn't like it when I sell stuff. She's like, I like that. You know, it's like we kind of wish you wouldn't have gotten rid of it. So
well, you gotta
she's
sell
my number
one
fan.
That's great. Awesome, yeah. Dude. Well, look, we're gonna JP, are there any other questions?
Let me go have a quick check. It just seems like the chat is a bit behind at the moment, to be honest, mate.
Okay.
They're still talking about fidget spinners.
They might be going back
and IKEA.
They might. No, let me see. No, over here they're talking about. Let me see. Bales, litters.
It's my computer.
Yeah, I think so. Snitches get stitches. Eloy needs some. Jim Bashir's. Yeah, I hit it, or I hate it when it comes into the room. What?
Let me refresh.
Okay, yeah, they're
you're getting death threats, Eloy, now.
At Waylay Creations, Eloy has loose lips. Waylight Creations at Bales. He is being loose-lipped again? Question mark. Luna T.
Yeah.
Luan T. What's your favorite Batman? Okay, Luan asks. Oh, and Sherry Fox is there. She's cracking up. Luan asked, what's your favorite Batman?
I like as far Jim Lee's Batman. If you're talking about comic books, yeah, that the way he draws Batman to me is about as perfect as it gets. I don't know if you're familiar with Jim Lee, the comic book artist.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Dude, love all his stuff. Ever since that's one of the reasons started. The books that my brother would read would be most of the stuff that he drew, that he was drawing. He was the author on, or the artist on. So I got a lot of fans. I still watch. He does a Twitch live stream, which I don't watch. He posted on YouTube, and they'll just show him drawing different characters. They're super long, man, like an hour and a half long videos, which I kind of piece them out, but it's just cool to watch that guy work, man.
I'm gonna say this. I do not like the guy that's playing Batman now.
Christian Bale or Ben Affleck? Oh, Ben Affleck, yes.
Ben Affleck. No, Christian Bale.
He's my favorite.
No, dude, it's just it's like no, I don't want to get into it, but it's like no, dude, no. I mean,
that's Scratch 2017 episode 2.
Yeah.
Affleck.
Yeah. Affleck.
You could do better, Eloy.
Oh, what, me as Batman? No, I don't think so. With the beard sticking out of the mask? With the beard?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm Batman.
I'm mancrafting. That's all that's all I'll give out. All right, so we're gonna Dan. Let me ask you: Did you enjoy the show?
Yeah, very much, man. Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure. It was a lot of fun, dude.
Will you come back?
Again.
Yeah. Oh, cool, dude. Hell yeah, dude. So, could you, if you want to shout anybody out, if you want to, any last words where people, I've got all the links down below. If you've not seen Dan the Maker Man, well, you've seen the interview, and if you don't know him, check out his videos. You're going to be surprised with the quality of videos, everything we talked about, from the audio to the visuals and the projects themselves, just everything very well addressed, in there. I was about to close, but JP, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What?
You said
actually,
something.
I had a question for JP that I had written down for myself. That I don't think he's given out the status of where he's at with the Queen's portrait on Makers International.
I've actually got it right next to me, actually. There it is. That's how far I've got with it.
Man, that's huge.
It's all drilled out, ready to go.
You drilled out the You drilled out the Queen?
Yeah, I've drilled the Queen.
That's what I was waiting for.
And now I'm gonna lay her out on my bench tomorrow and stick it to her.
Good luck.
And after I've done that, I'm going to be working on that.
Oh,
nice.
That's the logo for Sophie's channel, Make It Soap. I'm actually going to be doing a couple of these. I'm going to be finishing one and sending one to her plane so she can, I don't know, Shazam it, whatever she does to it. So
that'll be cool, man.
Yeah, she's got a YouTube channel also on Instagram, and I love the stuff that
and
she
her
makes.
Facebook page as well. She's just passed 500 subscribers, so that was pretty awesome. She's got a giveaway going on as well at the moment as well, so it'd be awesome if we could get her to 1,000 subscribers before Christmas. So,
yeah, right on. We'll work to that end.
Yeah. So yeah, all right.
So Dan, any final thoughts, any shout outs that you might want? You don't have to. I mean, it's totally up to you.
I'll do a little bit there. I'll do shout out to, I'll shout out one channel, which I don't need to shout it out, but if you're not watching Bobby Duke, you need to go watch Bobby Duke. I mean, that dude is hilarious, man. He's not only super talented, but his videos are so damn funny. I mean, it's kind of,
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't change it anything anytime soon, man. Because I thoroughly enjoyed. He posted his most recent one where they're out with his family buying pumpkins, and I can't remember the title, but something, not an art video.
Yeah, not an art video.
Yeah, just the Dukes or something
Just
like
the
that.
Dookie. Yeah, just the Dookie part. The Dookie. But yeah, fun videos. Really like it. There's tons of guys out there. You know, Red Smith is one of the guys that I always love watching, enjoy watching. Gerald's super talented. Rory May,
Oh yeah.
phenomenal videos, man. That guy's just on another level. Not only his craftsmanship, but his video production is very good as well. And I'd like to shout out the podcast I listen to, Makers International, Scratched Reruns,
Yeah.
even though there aren't any. Maybe I've said too much with Joel Crawford and Mike Laffey and Mr. Easy Swan. That's another fun one. The Making Geeks podcast, another one I don't like to miss. Modern Makers, Making It, all the usual suspects. But yeah, for me, that's what I do when I'm in the shop, man. Listen to podcasts. So don't stop making them, Jamie.
All right. JP?
That's my name. Use your own.
Any final words?
Any final words? Yeah. You can find me at JP Woodwork, Twitter and Instagram, JP_Woodwork. My website is jp-woodwork.com. I think that's about it. Go subscribe to Make It So.
All right. Well, listen, guys, all of you guys, we love you. All of you, you know who you are. We touch base all the time in the different platforms. We're not in front of each other at all. Every now in the blue moon, we might visit some meetup or whatnot. But you're very much appreciated. We thank you and catch you guys. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to say that next week we're going to have Doc Jared Hildebrand on the show. If Doc is still out there, Doc, you waited till the bitter end. But he's there was so much covered here and so many side roads. But he's on next week. I don't know if he's been. I know he used to do the Maritime Makers.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to do a whole show because he's going to come on like it's just going to be you and me, and then Doc's going to come on for the last 20 minutes and just stand there. That's what he used to do on the Maritime show.
Well, that's who we got coming up, and there's more surprises to come. So thank you guys for visiting with us, and well, we're out of here. Enjoy the rest of the week and eat some turkey and have a good time. And if you're not in the U.S., well, eat some turkey too. Gobble, gobble.
Smell my
Peace
finger.
out.
Thanks, everybody. It's fun.
Later.
Later.